Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. We are in chapter 6, guys, and we had so many questions. We had to add a whole other class. So this is just question after question after question. Ready, set, go. Okay, Faggy, what you got for me?
So this one's from Eliza. I want to go out to dinner with my husband at least twice a month to enrich our relationship, and I know we can afford it, but my husband argues with me that he would rather save our money than go out to eat. What should I do? Common problem.
Boy, he'd rather save the money. Well, this is called enroll your husband in what you need. Okay. If you're going to try and, fight him and say, no, go out with me, whatever, you're going to feel terrible because you're going to be schlepping him where we went there last time. This is so much money, it's going to be terrible. So you really have to enroll him and get him excited about this idea. So the way you might do that, and I'm just going to do a little bit of role play here is, dear, again, well-fed, well-rested, and this is a time no kids are interrupting, the emails are taken care of, whatever. It's you're sitting in the car, you're going on a walk, or it's at night, and you're about to go to bed, and you say, I have something I want to talk to you about, nothing serious. I don't want to you feel badly about anything, but I do have a desire, and I wanted to share it with you, which I don't really know how to handle. So the thing is, to some people, going out to eat and going on a date is, like a waste of money and superfluous, and they don't need it and they don't have the desire for that. And so that's one type of person. And then there's other type of people, me, for instance, and it's like when I get taken out to dinner, I feel like I feel closer to you. I feel like our relationship is healthy and strong. I feel like I get my questions answered about what we should do about this and that and the other. I just feel like it's dedicated my own private little treasure box. And so what I'm bringing to you, sweetheart, is I'm this kind of person and you're that kind of person. And, so I don't know. I can't even think of a compromise. Maybe, if I want to go out twice a week now, and you only twice a month, and you only want to go out 0, we do it once. I don't know how we should compromise it, how we should figure this out so that I get my deep need met of feeling closer to you and like taken care of. And I get it about the money, but I feel like this is, there is a Chazal that says that Hashem will pay for Shalom Bayis, and so if this brings us to more Shalom Bayis, I can only imagine the glory of Hashem, Hashem just feeling so proud of us that we're, you doing something you don't want to do and wasting the money. And let's say it costs hundreds of dollars, which it won't, but let's say whatever. You think God's not capable of giving us that money back somehow because we're taking care of our relationship, and it's so Shalom Bayis is so important to him. So anyway, I feel like I'm already saying too much and like I'm pushing you into doing it my way. I'm just telling you I have this need, and I'm just kind of handing the problem to you to try and figure out what we can do to try and fix it. Now, if you're the guy and you hear that, instead of saying, you should, and why don't you take me out? If you heard it that way as a soft, and you probably could even do softer than I did, and sweeter, and your husband better, so you can ask the question in a way that is going to be effective. I think you'll get exactly what you need, and Hashem should bench you with the koyach to think of the right thing and to do the right thing so that it goes well, and that he should have and Hashem should soften your husband's heart so that he's open to this idea. Beautiful question. Okay, good. What's next, Faggy?
Okay, so this one's from Esther. So some parts are a little bit the same like Eliza's, but somehow it's a little bit just the opposite. So she's asking, our schedules are so busy between work, learning, kids, older parents. We squeeze time to talk about family, business, but not for relaxing moments together. Any practical tips on how to make time together?
Excellent question. So it is a practical question, and it's very, very crucial in a relationship. I mean, there's some Rabbanim who talked to me, and they've said, this is like ABCs for having a good marriage is having that special time together, whether it's time to have just recreational fun or just time to talk when it's not stressful and when there's not crisis and when there's not conflict. That is very, very crucial to the success of a marriage. We know this from Chazal, that time and that closeness between a husband and wife is crucial to their feeling happy with their lives, happy with their lot, and for raising children who feel like they're in a warm, loving environment. So in terms of practical advice, there's lots of things that we are sort of found time. So one of them might be your husband's commute to work probably is too busy and crazy for you, but on his way home, if you are talking to your husband while you're making dinner, put an earbud in or something like that, it's kind of found time. Well, during that he listens to this Doc Yomi. Okay, so that's not an option for your family. But if he's just sitting there driving and sitting in traffic and it's a half an hour drive, that'd be a perfect time for you guys to catch up with each other. Not as intimate as being in person, but again, these are found moments. When after lunch on Shabbos, everybody wants a nap. Leah, it's a long Shabbos. My favorite thing, eat my cholent, go sit, lie down. I hear there's nothing stopping you from 15 minutes just going out the house, unless you got babysitter issues or whatever, which is understandable, but having 15 minutes together where where you're talking, 15 minute often stretches into a half an hour. Motzei Shabbos, the kids go to bed, then that's your kind of date night where you just sit on the couch and schmooze about stuff, or you sit over, make some popcorn, make some hot cocoa and marshmallows, whatever. You have to look for these times. If you don't rip them out of your schedule, they ain't going to happen. Same thing, everybody says this with exercise. Exercise is the first thing to go when someone gets busy, So the connection that is developed with your husband in these times of connecting deeply and talking about deep subjects or difficult subjects, or trying to keep the conflicts to a minimum, but going over all of these issues, that's crucial to a marriage. And if your husband isn't into it, then you need to talk to him deeply, like we just went over in the first case, of telling him what your deep need is and presenting the problem, saying, here, I need to be able to feel like I'm really connecting and discussing these things with you. What can we do, dear? And put the problem in his hands. And by the way, anyone who's listening in the podcast, when I say put the thing, I always take my hands and cup them and hand it to the husband, like, here's the problem, sweetheart. What are we going to do about it? And you're handing that problem to your husband to help you solve. And when you do it that way, rather than telling him what he should do and how he should be behaving and what you need, and when you hand it like, what should we do, sweetheart? Believe me, that's a much more warm invitation than any other way you could do it. And you get a much higher chance of having a successful communication. Okay. Beggy, what's our next question?
Okay. So this one is from Ava. So she's asking, I like to go to sleep at 9 p.m., but my husband wants me to stay up longer with him at night because that is when he has the most energy. He tells me that he has the most energy to listen to me then and wants to truly hear me, but at night, he wants to hear her, but he wants to do that at night when he has the most energy. It is the best time for him then. I'm so tired by 9 p.m. I cannot hold a conversation, but I want to make my husband feel important. I don't know what to do.
Oh, that's a toughie, because that's circadian rhythms and habits and long-term habits. And, probably the reason she's tired at 9 o'clock is because she's been up at 6 o'clock the morning prior to taking care of a baby or getting kids ready or whatever it is. Or maybe she has a job that, if you're tired at 9 o'clock at night, it means you've got having a busy day. This is a very tough problem. I don't have a good solution for you because I've been asked this question and I've sent it to a Rav because it's very hard logistically. It's a logistic issue that's very hard to solve because if that's his best time, it could be, if you are capable of taking a nap in the afternoon, that could help the situation. And, but then you have to consult your physician, whether that's good for you. A lot of physicians say, yeah, if you have a routine of getting 6 hours sleep at night and an hour and a half in the day, and that's your routine, that can be fine. There are people who work very well with that. I think studies show that it's more preferable to have chunk time, 7 to 8 hours of sleep together at night. But napping is also a completely viable option, especially in a situation where shalom is so important and where it's getting in the way of your shalom bias. So I would look into lots of different options like that. I would talk to sleep specialists. I would talk to people, psychologists who know about circadian rhythms. But the bottom line is that the two of you and your husband, are working out a solution that's workable. It's not he's got his way, which is you should stay up at night, and you have I'm exhausted at night, and there's just this constant conflict about it. The two of you need to put your heads together and say, how can we solve this? How can we read a book on how to stay up later? Maybe he wants you to stay up till 11 and you can't even get past 9. So you say, listen, from 9 to 9:30, I'm going to try. And you do trial and error, and you see, it was a tough half an hour that first night, but as you got into the routine and your circadian rhythms changed a little bit, or maybe you ate dinner a little bit later or earlier or whatever, you work on these things. This is a very big getting advice and trial and error. And hopefully, God willing, you should have siyata d'shmaya, which is help from God to solve this issue. And your heart is in the right place, which is being determined to achieve that closeness and that togetherness. That is the reason we're on the planet. Okay. Next question, Peggy.
Okay. So Tahila is asking, I feel like I have a real gift for counseling people. I really want to take a course to get certified as a life coach, but my husband says we can't afford it. I feel like a piece of me is being wasted and it's starting to depress me, but I don't know how to make him understand.
So he said that he can't afford it. That was,
I guess, the amount it costs to get trained to become a life coach.
So, I mean, I have a question for her, which is, if she's doing it for Parnassa, then she can sell her husband on the idea that it's an investment, it's going to cost X amount of dollars to do. And my first year of income will go back to putting it back into the savings account or whatever it is that he is concerned about. And say, for the first 6 months, if I earn X amount of dollars, 50% of that will go back to pay our savings account or to pay off the credit card or whatever it is. And 50% will be using it for our daily life, or 80% will pay off whatever it is. So she could, just kind of make a real, write out a contract on a Word, on a Word document and print it. The only thing with that is there's no guarantees in life. She could fail the coaching life course, or she could get no clients, and then, whatever. So it would be a little bit of a gamble and a risk that he'd have to be willing to take. But the issue that strikes me the most in what the question is she's saying there's a part of me that feels unfulfilled or unutilized, that need to be tapped into. And I hear that, but it could for sure be that she can use that in other ways. I mean, it could be, if she keeps her eyes out in the local news and sees, there's, on Tuesday mornings, which is when all her kids are in school, Tuesday mornings from, 10 to 12, their kids get home at 3 or 1 or whatever. Tuesday mornings, they need someone at the local nursery to read books, or at the library, or there's an old age home near her that needs, somebody to play piano for them at the tea party. I don't know, I'm making up crazy ideas, but what I'm saying is that it could be that there's things that she can do to satisfy that desire she has to contribute in ways that don't cost as much as a course might cost, or the course she wants. It could be she looks into different courses. Maybe she finds ones that's half the price. The ladies talk show, the marriage campaign, we have our coaching program, which is probably the cheap, least expensive in the world, because it's subsidized. But if she wants that kind of thing, she needs to think about what is going to be her most effective way to get that needs of hers. Use her creativity. There could be a lot of different ways, not just that one thing that she has her heart set on. So even though she might be able to convince her husband that that's a good idea, depending on the income, as I spoke about. So, okay, that's very good. And by the way, if you're interested in our coaching program, just send an email to info@ladiestalkshow.com and we'll send you the information on the coaching program. Okay, excellent. Go ahead. That was a good segue. Good advertisement. Thank you. Okay, good. What's your next question?
Okay, so Julie wants to know, my husband has had several jobs over the years, and his primary feedback has been that he's an underachiever. How can I help motivate him to apply himself more at his job so that he's more successful?
Wait, can you say he's an underachiever? I missed the word you said.
Yeah, underachiever. I guess that he doesn't accomplish much at his job. And
you mean that's what they say about him, is that he's an underachiever. I see.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Wants to help motivate him to apply himself more at his job that he's, doing, so that he should be more successful.
It's a little bit backwards because it's really not her business to try and motivate him to be more motivated at work. I mean, it's like, if he started to try and motivate her to lose weight, like, get away from me. It's not her job. It's like, she's stepping into territory that she has no business doing. However, if she wants more parnasa, we have a whole show actually called, How to Make Your Husband Rich. So look into that. But if she wants her husband to care more about making money, there's one simple way to do that, which is to show him gratitude and appreciation for every single thing he does. He passes you a fork. Oh, thank you. He hands you the water. Thank you. Everything he does, everything he says, he compliments you. Thank you. The more appreciation she shows him for what he gives her, the more money they will have. And this is from Rav Moshe Cordovero, that all bracha comes from Shemayim through the husband and to the wife. And the bigger the wife, and we've gone over this, whatever, just a reminder, the bigger receiver that the wife is, the more bracha can come into the home. And the way to be a bigger receiver is to be thankful and appreciative and show gratitude. So that would be the only thing that she should attempt to do, for her to try and motivate him and get him, he's an underachiever and he should work harder and he should, whatever. I mean, it's not her business. And she has to know that. And she has to know that anything she does to try to do that will backfire. Just like if he says, do you really want to eat that cheesecake? Yes. Like, thank you. So it's going to backfire. So it's a very good question, and I appreciate your desire to have more in your life, but that's the backwards thinking. Just thank your husband. Spend your whole day thanking your husband. And if you're not saying it, you're feeling it, well it up inside of you, well up that level of gratitude of knowing that all bracha in your home, in your life, the clothes you wear, the jewelry you have, everything material, physical, spiritual, everything in your life, all the bracha comes from your husband. We have many sources that say this. And if you show that gratitude and appreciation, more bracha will come into your home, guaranteed. Okay, very good. Okay, what's the next question?
So this one is Anna asking, when my husband met me, I was not a huge fan of makeup, so I was very natural looking. As the years have gone by, I found a love for trying on makeup, and it makes me feel more beautiful when I'm wearing makeup. My husband does not like the looks I've tried, but I love them. He told me he likes me better without makeup on. Should I just stop wearing makeup to make my husband happy?
Aw, I'm sad. That's too bad that you like that and he doesn't like that. That's a really, really tough one, because it's like a woman's feeling of herself, of how, a woman has to be able to feel pretty. It enhances her well-being to feel like she's at her best self. And it's sad that their ideas of what is beautiful is different. That just makes it a little bit hard. It is true that we have many sources that say that she shouldn't wear the makeup, but that doesn't mean to say that she can't get his agreement and his buy-in to wear a little bit. So men don't really understand what makeup is. So I had a woman and she took off her COVID mask, and her husband said, "Why is it all pink inside?" "Well, you got a defective one." He didn't realize she wears blush. I was like, "Well, it's all pink." It's funny, hello. So the issue is that men don't really understand it. He probably won't really notice if she's wearing blush. If she wears eyeliner, maybe he notices that. But she might get his buy-in of just saying, do you mind if I wear a little? And he might not notice if she's, look, if she's got this bright red lipstick on and she's walking, he might notice that. And maybe, if that's what she needs to feel pretty, then that's a much tougher situation than possible. But if she likes, a little bit of a light tan or pink or whatever that has a little gloss to it and makes her feel a little special, okay, she really would rather be wearing the glaring, red, pink or whatever lipsticks or whatever. But that is enough to satisfy her, and it doesn't bother her husband. I would try to look a little bit for a compromise, and again, keeping in mind that he doesn't know what you're doing. Okay, Faggy, what's the next one?
Okay, so this one's from Yael. My husband really hates changing diapers and flat out told me he won't do it. I don't mind in general, but sometimes I'm doing 10 other things, and it would be so helpful if he could just get over it and see how much I need him to give me a hand.
Oh, very tough. Very tough. So can they set up a system like where you say, he only has to do, 3 diapers a week or whatever. If they have 7 kids, then that's not enough. But if they have 1 kid, or 2 kids or something like that, and diapers, for her to say something like, how about I get 3 times to ask you, help, I need help right now, whatever. He probably would agree to that. And if she keeps it the 3 times to really only 2, that even better, he'll be more likely to comply all the time she needs him to. But there's a little bit of a difficulty here that she needs to understand, which is that in a man's mind, there's women's work and men's work, and that some families have this very strict, some people, it's like, oh, the sons make the challah and the wife makes, whatever, and the mommy's making the cupcakes and one of the daughters is barbecuing, sometimes it's all mixed up. Sometimes family is very strict, like, no, the mommy makes the challah, and she's obviously got to be the one to take the challah, I think. I don't know the halachas of that, but anyway, some families are very strict, and his family might have grown up that's women's work. And that's kind of unfortunate for the wife, maybe the mommy, the mother-in-law. No joking about mother-in-laws. It can make matters worse for people, whatever. But anyways, for her, she has a obligation to sort of see where he's holding about it. If he thinks of it as women's work, what did they do in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, ancient Egypt? The men were given women's work and the women were given men's work, and that was how they messed with their minds. So you have to be careful with this. If he feels that it's women's work and he is made to do it, right? It changes his own sense of who he is, and he feels less manly. Rationally or irrationally, that's how he will feel. If that's how it grew up with, that he will feel less manly. And then the wife will feel badly that she doesn't have her strong man that she married, that she wants. She wants a man who can, who's strong. She doesn't want somebody who's less than who he could be. So, it's a very touchy subject. It's politically incorrect in every which way, shape, or form, whatever. But I'm just talking about dealing with the reality of how he was brought up and what his thought process is, and taking that into account when you're asking for your needs. Much the same way if he said, can you build this IKEA thing? Well, some women love doing that, but there's some things that you would think of as men's job. Taking out the trash, for instance, Many women do it, but most don't. Most men do that. It's just seen as a man's job. So a woman resents or kind of feels like, why do I have to do this? Why don't I have a husband who does this for me? You know, these are touchy subjects, and everybody's different. Every relationship's different, but you have to keep these in mind when you are making these types of decisions. So if she is, demanding that he's doing diapers when she's frenzied, which I hear, she has to know that she's picking her battles, that's the most important to me. Maybe ask him to do the dishes. Maybe he wouldn't mind doing that. That takes longer, although it might come into the cabinet messy, soapy, whatever, you have to pick your battles on these things. But most importantly, she has to realize who he is and what his capacities are, what's going to make him less than, and to her own detriment. If she makes him feel less manly, he's going to earn less money, and he's not going to be the husband that she needs. So you have to think about it very, very carefully. I know I've said sort of politically incorrect things. Please don't take this out of context. I'm just trying to figure out what's the easiest and best path to shalom, to peace in the home. Okay, this is Leah Richheimer. I'm going to give you your homework from this week. One time this week, you are going to forgive your husband for doing something that annoys you. Okay, just one time this week, you're going to just say, he's going to do something, and you're going to want to tell him about it. Do you realize yesterday when you parked me in for the car and I couldn't get out and I was going to be late for work and whatever? One thing he does that annoys you, let it go without attacking him. That's your homework. It's Leah Richheimer. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.